afternoon, and welcome to Nutmeg Sports here on the HAN Network. I am Frank Granito, and I'm joined with Kevin Coleman today in studio. Do not adjust the color on your screen. This suit is as bright as it looks. Kevin, I do like the tie, though. Respect the effort, but I set you up for failure. I'm sorry.
You really did. I think this is payback for Halloween. You even said so yourself. So, you know what? That suit is fire. With the fire emoji, I'll put it there. It's just impressive.
I was a little, I felt a little intimidated and outshined on Halloween. You brought your A game with that tie, but I was holding this one in my back pocket for a while now. But it is the first day of winter. We wanted to get in the spirit, and of course, we had our first girls basketball broadcast yesterday, Kevin. We had the Ridgefield Tigers and the Fairfield Ward Mustangs. They played each other last week in the Massac Tip-Off Classic Championship game. Ridgefield won that game by 14. I thought we saw a much better game yesterday, despite Fairfield Ward being without some key starters.
Yeah, they were without some key starters, but you got to give credit to this Ridgefield Tigers defense. You talk about Coach DiMarzio. That's one of the big things that he will talk about to his team during the offseason and getting ready for the season is defense. And we saw the hustle yesterday. And we talked about during the broadcast, the hustle points were there. And
you're talking about a defense that played the full court press for the entire game. From start to finish, they came out and forced Fairfield to go the entire length of the court under pressure. I thought Ridgefield was a little slow in the first quarter. They trailed 17-13 after one. They might have had 5 turnovers on their first 7 possessions, and that really was the difference. You got to the second quarter and then especially the second half, and you saw it was Ward who started turning the ball over and putting themselves in bad situations.
Yeah, you got to give credit to Deja Polk. We talked about during the broadcast. She's the truth, right? You nicknamed her that, so she's the truth of the FCAC. She was excellent, I thought, during the entire game. She can't do it alone, unfortunately. This is a team sport. But I thought she did a great job of breaking through that press that the Tigers put on all game long. But you talk about this press. This Tigers team, coming into the season, losing 2 key starters that went to Division I basketball, they're going to be I still think they're going to be a big contender in this FCAC this year. I think they're going to give teams a lot of trouble.
Well, they've got more depth from the Middlebrook household than some of the other teams have in the entire conference. They used Claire, Julia, and Elizabeth yesterday. Julia and Elizabeth in the starting lineup. Claire coming off the bench, hitting some key shots. Those 3 girls, tremendous athletes, better people. We got to meet with their mother yesterday, too. Congratulations to, Elizabeth and Julia, first of all, going to Bates and Colby for basketball and lacrosse. That was awesome to hear, but you're right. I don't think people appreciate the depth that the Tigers can run with for this season.
You're right, and it's not even, they don't even have that deep of a bench either. You look at that roster, it's not as long as maybe other teams, but they have Claire Middlebrook, who's only a sophomore. She came off the bench, you talked about, hit a couple big threes, a couple nice rebounds too. And I really thought that Caroline Colonel was great on the boards, along with Elizabeth Middlebrook. The two of them, I think, it doesn't matter what size you are in basketball, as long as you box the opponent out and you grab that rebound, you're going to have a good chance of winning that game.
Colonel led all Tigers in scoring. She didn't register a point until the second quarter, though. Had 5 in that second quarter. But you're right. She plays the 4 next to Middlebrook at the 5. That's Elizabeth there. I thought she did a great job on the boards, more specifically offensively on the boards. And I think that was the biggest difference in this one. But again, until Shania Osborne is back for Ward, this is a team that you're not going to be very familiar to seeing. Libby McKenna, a starting guard, was out with an illness yesterday. That really plays a role in the press. And then Christina Krasniqi had to leave at halftime. So those are 3 of your top 6 players now who are out of the rotation. And it showed in the second half that the inexperience of Ward really led to a lot of the turnovers in that game.
Yeah, and Krasniqi actually hit a couple big threes in that first and second quarter. Then she unfortunately had to leave the game. But if she stayed in that entire game, maybe who knows? Maybe a couple of 3-pointers in the second half kept that game even closer. It was close all game long, but that Tigers defense, Frank, wow.
And you mentioned Deja Polk before. She had 14 points in the first half, 18 points total, leading all scorers in the game. But just 4 points in the second half. She never looked comfortable. They really tightened up defense on her. It was Middlebrook. It was, Grace Goodwin, who were responsible with guarding Polk and just didn't allow her any time or space to get that jumper off. She was lethal from the mid-range in half number 1. Just held in check for half number 2. The final score in this game was Ridgefield 50 and Ward 43. Let's take a look at some of the highlights from yesterday's Tigers win.
Welcome to the gymnasium here at Richfield High School as we get set for an FCAC girls basketball matchup between the Fairfield Ward Mustangs and the Richfield Tigers.
There, Frank.
Shot might have been tipped, but doesn't matter as Seta knocks down another one. She's up to 5 points early on. Julia Middlebrook to the paint, tries a little runner, and one, gets it to go. Nice job.
Nice job by Middlebrook there.
Over here, back to the hands of Polk. She sees some room, spots up the mid-range, and knocks down another jumper. Tie game, and now an opportunity for the Tigers to take the lead into halftime. Now, and of course, with the injuries, this is a depleted bench as well for the Mustangs right now. Krasniqi inside, gets it to go off the assist from Polk. Turnover here. Couple outlet passes, and going up strong and converting is O'Hara. And she picks up her first points of the fourth quarter. 3-point opportunity for O'Hara. Good.
O'Hara from downtown. Good look there, and again, going back to Polk.
And the Tigers will remain undefeated. They move to 4-0 on the season. The Mustangs now 1-3. Will need to find a way to bounce back and end the 3-game losing skid.
So again, Richfield 50, Fairfield Ward 43. Richfield is now 4-0 on the season, and we'll get to the standings in just a moment because you're going to see how scary good the West Division is right now. Claire Colonel, 14 points. Megan O'Hara, who just quietly went about her, Caroline Colonel. I'm looking at it too, gosh. 14 points. Megan O'Hara, 13 points, quietly went about her business yesterday. Was the leading scorer early on. I thought she played a tremendous game for Richfield.
Well, yeah, you look at the highlights. She scored that nice little three-pointer. She's got nice form, follow through, let the wrist hang.
There you go.
Oh, it's a thing of beauty. You just knew that thing was going in from the corner. She's got a good stroke from deep, and she can dribble to the hoop. I was impressed with a lot of these girls yesterday. They could take the ball, go to the hoop, get fouled, get the and one. If not, go and shoot two. I thought both teams actually shot really well from the foul line. They just didn't get there enough. I thought at the end of the day, second half, I thought the Tigers did a nice job of forcing the ball down low to the post with Middlebrook or Colonel. They go up, try and get fouled. And I was very impressed. I know Fairfield Ward ended up with the loss, but there were key moments there where I was really impressed with them, especially early on in that first quarter.
And they're 1-3 on the season now. They're not out of it by any means. It's still so early and again depleted. You mentioned getting to the free throw line. I thought what killed Ward in the second half was that you're trying to force the ball inside. That was where a lot of the turnovers came from. The man-to-man worked for the Tigers. Even if they had beaten the press, the man-to-man was too tough. Sitting back in zone yesterday, I thought really was where they lost that game. You had to come out of it, stop letting the shooters shoot, but Middlebrook and Colonel inside were just too much to handle, and I think the soft zone, that soft spot in the middle of the zone, really opened up the floor for them.
I agree, and that's the Achilles heel about a 2-3 zone. You're gonna have open spots for shooters to shoot, and I said it during the broadcast, Frank. Even though the Tigers weren't necessarily great from three-point land, you just got to keep shooting, and eventually, second half, you started seeing those three-pointers go in. That's what you tell a shooter: keep on shooting. Eventually, it's going to go in. Someone's going to get hot. You saw Megan O'Hara make one, Claire Middlebrook, even her sister Julia. That's what three-pointers have to do. You keep shooting, and eventually it'll go in.
And that was the name right there. Claire Middlebrook, the sophomore, coming off the bench, hits a big three on that first possession, and then she did a great job working the baseline, finding that spot in the zone from about 12 feet out, and hitting her mid-range jumper. I thought that tilted momentum. And again, it's a 7-point win, but there was a point in time with 40 seconds to go. This was a 3-point game. Ward right on the cusp. Let's switch gears now. We'll look at some of the other scores from yesterday, Kevin. McMahon over Central 45-23. Staples a winner 45-39 against St. Joe's. Norwalk knocked off Darien 56-46. Ludlow over Wilton by 3. That was a 48-45 win. Trumbull 48, Danbury 27. West Hill 53, New Canaan 21. Big win yesterday for the Stanford Black Knights. They beat Trinity. They also opened up the season against West Hill. So already, just through 2 games, Stanford has retained the city championship they won last year. So congratulations to the Black Knights. And we mentioned the girls' basketball standings before, Kevin. Let's take a look at those now as we bring them up on the screen for you. And you just see at the top that West Division, you've got 4 teams sitting there undefeated, off to such a great start, and those are 4 very talented, very experienced teams.
You're right, and even the teams who are sitting at 1-1, you look at Central and Danbury and West Hill. These are still really good teams. It's early on, Frank, so you're definitely going to see. We saw it yesterday how teams, both Fairfield Ward and Richfield weren't quite comfortable early on. I think a lot of these teams are just getting used to. We had some fall athletes, coming into play, but you talk about these. You talk about Richfield, Stanford, Staples, and Trumbull, even Greenwich. These are some really, really strong teams who are going to make a push come towards the end of the season.
And of course, FCIAC games just opened up. It's the out-of-conference schedule that really has separated the East Division right now. They've struggled a little bit here, as you see. Ludlow at 1-1, only having played 2 games, by default gets to sit in that top position. But then, other than St. Joe's, everyone has really struggled outside the conference in their opening games.
Yeah, you look at Ward sitting at 0-2. I was impressed how they played yesterday. They're going to bounce back. They're going to get, the injuries. They'll bounce back. They'll get the key players back in the lineup. I thought Tasia Pope was excellent, and I think Ward's going to have a good year. They'll bounce back from being 0-2.
It should be a lot of fun. It was great to get that first one done yesterday, and 2 great teams. Both coaches so helpful. So congratulations again to the Ridgefield Tigers. Kevin, let's step aside. When we come back, we have got some news out of the FCIAC football conference out of Fairfield Ludlow, and that's coming up next on Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network.
At Hoyt Livery, our goal is to always, Sam, what are you doing? We're filming a commercial.
I'm checking out the new Hoyt on the Go app. Hoyt's here.
My company developed Tranquility Mind and Body Wellness Spa 13 years ago. The building had 2 huge Olympic-sized pools in it. Builders would come, take a look to develop, and no one really knew what to do with it. Milford Bank saw our vision, and they jumped right in. They were the bank that we needed to come behind this hometown project. My name is Tina DeNaples, and I choose to bank with Milford Bank.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hi, this is Leo Carl from Carl Chevrolet in New Canaan, and you've heard me talk about the Chevy Volt for years. The new model gets 53 miles on EV charge daily, plus 420-mile full range. But don't take my word for it. You need to come in and test drive the Volt yourself. Visit us at 261 Elm Street in New Canaan or online at carldirect.com.
At InSports Trumbull, the game is always on inside. Recently renovated and home to one of Connecticut's largest indoor turf fields, InSports is a multi-sport recreation center providing state-of-the-art facilities for league play, camps, and youth programs. Sign up now for the InSports New England Top 80 Lacrosse Showcase taking place on January 14th. Coaches from New England colleges will be scouting and coaching the recruits for the college class of 2019 and 2020. The top 40 players will be featured in All-Star Game to get maximum recruiting exposure. Spots will fill up fast, so go to insports.com for pricing and more information. Like and follow us on Facebook.
I'm John Kovach. I'm a newspaper editor. I'm a high school football coach. I'm a television presenter. And I want you to love fishing as much as I do. Tune in to Yankee Fisherman, Thursdays at 1 on the HAN Network. It's like going to the tackle shop without leaving your office.
If you're watching this broadcast, you're not alone. The HAN Network is available for 200,000 Connecticut cable customers on the Frontier Network. And we've also reached 1.7 million viewers on our free live streaming sports, news, and entertainment broadcasts. To reach our rapidly growing audience, contact Advertising Director Jessica Murrin at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
Back on the HAN Network, this is Nutmeg Sports on Wednesday, December 21st. And we have some breaking news out of Fairfield Ludlow from yesterday regarding their football program, where head coach Vin Camara has stepped down from his position and quoted yesterday saying, "I have a standard of how I want things done for my players and by my players." It is the same standard I held myself to as a high school player, college player, assistant coach, and head coach. At this point, there were circumstances that occurred that prevented me from maintaining that standard. My passion to coach is as strong as ever, and I'm actively looking for a coaching job that will allow me to coach with the passion and energy that I know is needed for the job. Kamara's best season with the Falcons came back in 2013 when Ludlow finished 6-5 on the season. They were 0-10 this past year and went 6-24 over the past 3 campaigns. Kamara had also been the coach at Platt Tech from 2007 to 2012. And Kevin, we got to meet with Coach Kamara a couple times during the year. I absolutely loved him as a coach. More importantly, as a person, I think he did a great job in a program that's in a little bit of turmoil right now. They're unsure where that next step with the program is going to be, but there were a lot of issues that surrounded Ludlow this year. This sort of just puts the cherry on top of it all.
Yeah, you mentioned that next step. We don't know when that next step is going to be for this future for Ludlow. You're right. They're in a bit of a turmoil right now. They're trying to get over the hump, and they will. They'll bounce back. This is a great program, great school, in a great community in Fairfield. They'll bounce back, and you mentioned Coach Kamara. He was so great to us, so great to me on the sideline, doing some sideline reporting when we broadcasted their games. And overall, I really liked his intensity coaching, even though they were down to Wilton that game that we covered. His intensity through that whole game, he told them not to quit. And they were down by a lot, and that shows what type of character he has too.
And this is a coach who there's no denying how much he loves the game of football, but more importantly, he's doing it for all the right reasons. It's not to win football games, it is to help and develop young men. And I've just heard from John Kovac he actually founded that program at Platt Tech where he coached for those 6 years between 2007 and 2012. It's unfortunate, and you could see with how this year went why it makes sense for Coach Kamara to step aside, and we want to wish him luck with whatever the next position he finds will be, and we do anticipate that he will be coaching again before too long.
Yeah, I definitely agree. He's a great coach. He'll find something. He'll go to a good program, and he'll be a winning coach. It's unfortunate that he had to leave Fairfield. Ludlow will miss him, but again, you mentioned it, Frank. He loves this game, and he'll be a great coach wherever he goes.
Also regarding FCIAC football, the Walter Camp All-Connecticut team has been announced, and there are several FCIAC players who were named to the first and second teams. On the first team, you had tight end Ryan Fitton of Staples, offensive lineman Andrew Stuber of Darien, and James Maxton of Norwalk. All 4 D-line positions for that first team were filled by FCIAC players. They were Finley Collins and Quinn Fay from Darien, Brendan Holtzclaw of West Hill, and Jack Kircher from New Canaan. Final player from the FCIAC on the first team was Ryan O'Connell as a defensive back from New Canaan. We had 5 selections on the second team. Quarterback Johnny McElroy of Trumbull, wide receiver Chris Longo of Ridgefield, offensive lineman Nick Rome of Staples, defensive lineman Cord Fox from Darien, and linebacker Paul Williams of Greenwich. So Darien leading the way, and of course Coach Rob Trefone was nominated for the Coach of the Year by Walter Camp as well. That will be announced on January 14th at the annual Walter Camp Breakfast. We figure this will be the final news we have from the fall season regarding football, Kevin, but great to see the FCIAC players getting the recognition they deserve after they were, I don't even think you could say arguably, definitively the best conference in the state this season.
Definitely, it was a pleasure to watch these student athletes play this year. It was so, and this is really my first year covering FCIAC football. And I really did have a blast watching these young men play. And you talk about Andrew Stuber, this is one individual just out of the many who are well deserving. I enjoyed interviewing him after that state game against Greenwich. He was just well spoken, and we know that he's going to play at Michigan. And just all these young athletes, tremendous year, so well deserving for all of them.
And we expect to see a lot of these athletes competing at the next level, whether it is in football or another sport. Congratulations to all these young men again, and we want to wish them the best of luck in whatever career they choose to pursue next. Let's take one more break here on Nutmeg Sports. When we get back, we will take a look at the boys hockey schedule coming up tonight. And of course, we will actually be joined by Josh Fisher, who's going to help us tease tomorrow's program and give us a little bit of a recap back from this fall season. That coming up next on Nutmeg Sports.
1, 2, 3, Abby, I want to
find out how
good idea. Yes, sir. If you relax, you get blown out. Let's get it done. Let's get it done.
What can you take advantage of right now?
Again, come on. I can push myself way beyond what you think. Pressure technique. Bring it back.
Connecticut is coming back to hometown banking. To a partner that makes small businesses feel big. Where community comes first. Where high-tech tools go hand in hand with a human touch. Where you get the know-how only neighbors can deliver. Where saving time is important too. It's time to expect more. It's time to bank well. Bank smart. Bank local. Bank well.
What makes Darien special during the holiday season? Locally owned shops and restaurants where you can find everything you need to make your holidays more enjoyable. Start with breakfast, then shop for everything from toys to unique gifts and the latest trends in fashion. Take a coffee break. Stop at our farmers market or one of our shops where you'll find an amazing selection of cheeses and meats. Then enjoy dining at one of our fabulous restaurants. This holiday season, experience shopping and dining in Darien.
Why cook it all this holiday? Avoid the stress of holiday planning and let your friends at Walter Stewart's in New Canaan do the heavy lifting. Whether you're looking to fill in with a few crowd-pleasing sides or you want us to prepare your whole feast, from cranberry sauce to pumpkin pie, we're ready to simplify your holiday. Place your order from our holiday menu and spend your holiday the right way, relaxing. Our fresh prepared holiday meals to go are designed with your busy schedule in mind. Visit us at stewartsmarket.com or at 229 Elm Street, New Canaan.
The holidays are a wonderful time to spend with families and friends, sharing a fantastic meal. Football season is in full swing, the fishing has been unbelievable, and it's time to make a list and check it twice. Stop at the dock shop, get a fix of summer, and browse loads of new products, including fishing tackle, accessories, clothing, jewelry, and home decor. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, or dockshop.com.
Give your day a jumpstart with the latest news, sports, weather, and more on Coffee Break, live on the HAN Network, weekdays at 11 a.m. Connecticut news doesn't get any more local than on Coffee Break.
This is Nutmeg Sports, Frank Granito and Kevin Coleman in studio as we shift to the ice now and look at some of the key matchups that we've got tonight. Interesting game here, Fairfield Co-op and Branford. Fairfield off to a good start, and they've got a tough Branford matchup now. This is a Fairfield team coming off a state championship. They're up in Division I. This is a good measuring stick for where they stand in the state cap.
Yeah, Branford's a good hockey team. That's a good program over there, especially over in that part of the state in Connecticut. They have some good hockey players over there. So this is going to be a good matchup.
It's a great matchup, and again, you love the hockey early season matchups where you get these top teams from each division playing against each other. Very cool matchup here. You've got Kinglow, Haywood, Thomas playing against Stanford West Hill. When we met with the co-op Stanford West Hill captains, they talked about how this was an interesting game, obviously playing against one of those prep schools teams, but you've got that little bit of an inter-city rivalry now with 3 Stanford schools involved in this one.
Yeah, you talk about prep schools are generally, you think, are always relatively pretty good at hockey, and there's just, this is a team that has some pretty good hockey players on it. So, and that too, it's going to be interesting to see Stanford West Hill how they gel together this year in hockey.
And then St. Joe's and Xavier. St. Joe's coming off a 3-1 loss Monday night against Greenwich. Xavier's opening win was at Greenwich, a big 5-4 comeback. St. Joe's, I think, was better than they played the other night. They've got Ryan Wilson in goal, who's tremendous. This is a really big game for them, though. They want to bounce back. And if they can prove if they can win this game against Xavier, they're really setting themselves up for success, not only in the state, but to prove they could make another run for the FCIAC championship.
You talk about that, making a run for the FCIAC championship. It starts tonight against Xavier. This is a good Xavier program. Again, Really good hockey program over there at Xavier. This is a good matchup, early matchup too. You know, even if they do say you lose that game, this is still an early matchup for them. They can learn from this game, even if they end up in the L column. This is a really good matchup for St. Joe's.
The two big games to really keep an eye on tonight. First, you've got Fairfield Prep at Darien. This is a rematch of the 2016 championship game. Both these teams come in 0-1. Prep losing in overtime to Ridgefield. Darien taking one on the chin against Hamden. It'll be interesting to see how Darien responds tonight. Prep, on the other hand, I think people have got high expectations for them. They're always there at the end of the year. Can they also put it on Darien? And is this Darien team more down than we think right now?
I wouldn't say they're necessarily down. That's definitely a rough start, though. I think they'll definitely bounce back. This is a Darien program. We know how good they are. Fairfield Prep, on the other hand, though, it's another good program. This is going to be a tough game for Darien. I think I'm leaning towards Fairfield Prep in this game just because of the depth that they have, and they have some really good, skillful guys.
It does not get much easier for Darien after this game. They'll then take on New Canaan on December 27th. And speaking of the Rams, they travel up to Hamden tonight. Arguably two of the top teams in the state right now after the opening weekend. The Rams struggled against Hamden the past few years. Always a great matchup, but I don't know if they're ready to see a player of Jake Blackwell's caliber. Might be the best player in the state. But what was good for the Rams out of the opening game, the top line did the scoring for them. Their big names, those captains, were leading the offense for the Rams.
Yeah, I think the Rams are going to have a good year this year. This is obviously not the start that they wanted, but this is going against a Hamden team that beat Darien, like you mentioned, Frank. This is going to be a tight matchup between these two teams. I really do like New Canaan in this game, though.
Should be a lot of fun. That game starts tonight at 7 from Hamden Ice Rink. Now, Kevin, tomorrow we'll be joined with yourself, John Kovach, and Donald Eng. We're going to take a look back on the fall season, some of our favorite broadcasts, what we thought our best games were. It should be a lot of fun, really give the appreciation of that fall season we didn't get to because of the way our winter sports tour started. But we do want to welcome in now Josh Fisher, one of our executive producers. Josh was with us for all the fall season. He's got some numbers for us.
Not all the fall season.
Not all the fall season, that's right. He just
calm down
he
back there,
out on the beginning, but Josh,
I had something more important.
Yeah, it was obviously a great fall season for the network. So much fun to be a part of, and most importantly, we had a lot of great games, a lot of close games, competitive games. It was a blast.
We did. I mean, I think, Frank, it was a combination of the crew that we've been able to assemble here growing, and also with picking out some better games than last year. Last year, it was like we joked, our Eric Gendron, our director and producer, joked about how we were like the network of the blowouts. Because like every single football game I think we did, basically until we got to the Turkey Bowl in 2015, was a blowout. And this year,
I think we maybe had one game this year where the score difference was more than 24.
Yeah, exactly. And so, we picked some great games, which, you and Eric led the charge in picking out those games. So good job. You guys were rather prescient, I think, this year. But also, I think, and I don't want to spend a lot of time with us, going tooting our own horn, but we really, upped whether it was the graphics, the sideline, bringing in, professional sideline guys like K-Dog over here. And I'm sorry I don't have a Christmas tie. God, I feel like I showed up naked to graduation or something. Oh, that dream. And it's been a great thing for our advertisers also who help support this. I was going over the numbers to come here and comparing this fall to last fall. Our viewership was up 48.5%. And it wasn't too shabby in fall of 2015. In fall of 2015, we had 294,000 viewers. And we reached 500,000 online-only viewers this year. That doesn't count the people who watched on Frontier Communications on Vantage Sports Channel 600 and 1600 HD. So that's huge, and that's over the course of 103 days. So we were averaging almost 5,000 viewers a day. That includes studio and game broadcasts.
Wow. It was awesome, and I think, Josh, we bring you out here. One of the reasons is you're one of those faces behind the scenes. You don't get enough credit for what you're doing with the sports side, along with CT Pulse, the news division, everything. you really put together the whole winter sports tour we just went on. We get to meet with all the captains from all 17 schools. In that fall season, we had all 17 schools featured in at least one game, and that's not even including when we were at the cross-country championship.
Right.
So it's been an absolute blast. I loved my first season here. I can't thank you enough. Everyone else, as you mentioned, the great team we put together. And we'll have more about this tomorrow. But before we get full into the holiday break and all of this, I did want to say thank you to all you guys. It's been a blast, and I can't wait to do some more of this.
Well, thanks to you, Frank, really for taking this over and really grabbing the ram by its horns and going to town with this. You really helped raise, I think, our level of professionalism and preparation for these games to really give our viewers something that was, not only to watch but to listen to. And it's been a pleasure watching you grow along with this network. I'm really glad that we were able to snag you. I'm not sure about that suit, but I was, I prepared that statement before today.
Contrary to popular belief, I did not lose a bet.
In fact, he won one.
Exactly.
You should see what the loser's wearing.
We will be back tomorrow, same time as always, 2 o'clock. We'll have John Kovac, Donald Eng Kevin Coleman. We're going to look back on some of the best games we saw this fall season. As always, you have got Coffee Break at 11 a.m., the Yankee Fishermen at 1, and we've got girls hockey tomorrow night from Terry Connors. For Josh Fisher, Kevin Coleman, I'm Frank Granito. We'll see you next time. Happy holidays. Merry winter.